Well, Democrats on Capitol Hill are asking questions about a wave of firings at the Justice Department. At least 7 U.S. attorneys have been let go by the Bush administration in the past few months. And while the Justice Department has suggested they were fired for poor performance, some are asking the question if they were sent packing for political reasons. Joe Digenova is himself a former U.S. attorney, and he's now in private practice. First of all, Joe, let's just back up here. What are grounds for dismissal for a U.S. attorney?
U.S. attorney is a presidential appointee, serves at the pleasure of the president, has no statutory term, can be removed for any reason whatsoever. It doesn't have to be for cause. He or she serves at the pleasure of the president.
All right, so let me show you some of the numbers published by the New York Times. According to the Congressional Research Service, 486 U.S. attorneys have been confirmed since 1981, and of those, only 3 were forced out in 25 years. That's compared with 7 who have been let go in just the last several months. Does that strike you, Joe, as unusual?
I believe that those statistics, number one, from the New York Times are absolutely incorrect. I don't know where they got those numbers. U.S. attorneys are routinely asked to leave, usually at the end of their first 4-year stint, so that someone else can be put in. What's different about this is they have the Justice Department and the White House have the right to fire any U.S. attorney for any reason. They do not have the right to smear them in the process of doing that by suggesting that their performances were subpar when they were not. What is disturbing in this case is not the firing of the U.S. attorneys. The president has the power to do that. What's disturbing is the suggestion by people at the upper echelons at the Justice Department that these people were removed because of a bad performance. That simply does not appear to be the case. I think that is defamatory. I think it's outrageous. If someone had said that about me when I served President Reagan honorably and left, if they had said that, I would have been furious. I would have been angry, and I too would have called people in Congress and say, "What the heck's going on here? Why are they talking about me this way?"
In fact, according to this article, which I know you have some questions about, Joe, but 6 out of 7 of the fired attorneys had performance evaluations that were described them as well regarded, capable,
yes,
very competent.
Yes, and that's why I say it's okay to let them go, but don't smear them in the process by saying they weren't good U.S. attorneys. In other words, if you want to replace them with another political appointee, the president has every right in the world to do that. But what his minions do not have the right to do is to defame someone in the process to cover their own fannies.
Well, and also another kind of questionable thing here is there is this provision in the Patriot Act that allows the president to appoint interim U.S. attorneys without Senate confirmation. Some might say the administration is perhaps using that provision to get rid of the attorneys they don't like. What do you think about that question?
Well, if they're getting rid of the U.S. attorneys they don't like, they have the power to do that. They could have done that before this Patriot Act was enacted. The president can remove any presidential appointee for any reason. Now, whether or not there have been suggestions from some Democrats on the Hill that it was because of politically sensitive investigations of Republican members of Congress or whatever, Congress can investigate it if it wants to. They have the power to do that. They can ask questions, and they can talk to these U.S. attorneys. My point is a much more basic one. I just think if you're going to let somebody go, you don't then traduce them and besmirch them in the press by saying they were bad performers, when in fact they weren't. As you say, and I think it's quite accurate, their performance evaluations were quite good. I think it's demeaning of the White House and the Justice Department to say bad things about people. If they want to remove them because they want to put in another person that they want to give a chance to have a job, that's perfectly legal. There's nothing wrong with that. But you don't smear somebody who's leaving office unless they really are bad, and that appears not to be the case here.
All right, point taken. Joe Digenova, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Delighted to be here.
All right.